What is up, my loves? Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Natalie Hughes. I am a mindset, personal development mentor. I help women identify their limiting beliefs, release the pain of the past, step into their power, manifest the realities that they desire. I really didn't think of an introduction before we started this video, and I kind of had to remind myself of who the fuck I am and what the fuck I do, you know? And that's kind of what we're doing in today's video. This is our very first pick a card in a really long time, like maybe at least a couple of months. I've been moving lots of things around in my social media. I'm lighting a candle as we are beginning. I have been moving a lot of different things around on my social media, figuring out who, not just who I want to be, but what type of content I want to put and where I want to put that content. And for me, YouTube feels like a place for tarot readings. YouTube feels like a place for tarot readings. And I have been missing doing tarot readings. So we're going to bring tarot readings back, and we're going to do it my way. And my way looks like 1 to 2 videos a week. And I'm going to be getting you the really, really good stuff. And yeah, that's all that I got. In today's video, we are talking all about what is available to you now. And the reason why this is so relevant, or what I mean when I say this, is that there's always more available. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we are in the thick of the struggle, whether it's a financial struggle, friendship struggle, relationship struggle, struggle with our family, struggle with our mindset, struggle with, you know, the money that our business is making. We can be so caught up in the middle of the struggle and trying to overcome the problem that we don't realize that there's something available to us now, whether that's help from the divine, more money, the people in your audience want to pay you, the people who are coming into your business want to pay you, the people who are on your email list want to pay you. There's something that's available to you now, and it's going to powerfully support you in getting to that next level. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we've got three different groups / piles here, and we're going to kind of go by deck because there's 3 different decks that I wanted to work with. So we've got pile number 1, or group number 1. I might just put a screen so you can like pick the different piles, but we'll do it this way first and see what I feel like doing when it's time to edit. Pile number 2, this is the Light Seers Tarot. I don't remember the name for pile number 1, even though it's like right there, but it's turned down. So all you need to know is that it's the first group. And then pile number 3, it's just this little traditional Rider-Waite deck that I got years ago when I was teaching a tarot course, which I'm thinking about bringing back, but not anytime soon, so don't ask me about it. Okay, timestamps will be in the description box down below, and I will see you at your reading. All right, what's up, pile number 1, for those of you who chose the deck whose name I can't remember. Let's jump right into your reading. We're working with this deck, and we're also going to pull some astrological oracle cards. God, it's been a minute since I've done this. Okay, we're going to take a second. We're going to take a breather. We're going to cleanse our space. I'm just using the light from the candle that we just lit. We're just gonna get a little bit of smoke. You're welcome. You needed that too. Okay. Let's all take a big deep breath. Let's take a couple deep breaths together. Just happy into the energy. For everyone who's called pile number 1, God, angels, universe, ancestors, deities, benevolent spirits, what is available to us now? You know what's very interesting, pile number 1, is that I felt a very strong presence of what I would call a deity. You might call them a goddess. There might be something out there, and you will know that this is for you, that's trying to work with you, something that you feel really, really called to, okay? I know that there are different things. I know that there are different traditions. One thing that I'm audibly hearing is Yemaya. So you might be working with spirits of the oceans, different things like that. There might be different things culturally that are more relevant to you. Basically, I just get a vibe of deities being around you, deities wanting to support you. So the very first thing that's available to you, pile number one, is more support. It's time to recognize that the work that you're doing benefits more than just you. So there are a lot of spirits who have an interest and who have a desire to work with you and to connect with you, not just because, like, I know with certain traditions and certain practices, things are closed and different things like that. There are certain, like, deities and like energies and like spirits that want to work with you because their people don't know anything about them because they've been closed off for generations and generations. But when their people come across you and the work that you're doing, then their people, it's like a quicker path of least resistance for their people to find you. So if you need more money to get to where you're going, there are energies and there are entities that want to work with you, that want to help you, that want to support you, that want to connect you. It's kind of like networking. There is a network of people in your industry. I'm hearing some of you want to work in like the entertainment industry. There's a network of people in your industry that are already all kind of connected because they're working with these particular deities and energies. So when you allow yourself to tap in with them and connect with them, you kind of access a whole other network of people, and you'll be aligned with them and connected with them through a whole bunch of like synchronistic shit. So that's the first thing that's coming through. Okay, so what is available to you now? We have Gemini, and we have Scorpio. Obviously, those could be your signs, sun, moon, rising, maybe your Venus sign. What's available to you right now? Oh my God. I have not done this in such a long time. Okay. Scorpio is the energy of like change, transformation, rebirth, death of old things and new things. So there's an ending that you're like being called to, being ushered into, moving through, like you're going through a transformation in your life, no doubt about that. And for some of you, it might feel a little bit like tumultuous. It might feel like, oh my God, everything around me is falling apart. In tarot, Scorpio is going to be associated with the Tower card. So, you know, it can kind of feel like, oh my God, all these things that I thought were stable and I thought were good because they looked good wasn't actually good. And it was all built on this like faulty bullshit and everything around me is falling apart. It can feel like that. And for a lot of you, I feel like it does feel like that. And for others of you, you've kind of been like doing this for a while. It's kind of like those memes that you see on the internet where people are like, oh, when you're on your third spiritual awakening, when you're on your third dark night of the soul, like, you know, all the little things like that. So you're kind of like, okay, yeah, it's a lot, but I'm going with it. And I'm kind of like rolling with the punches and I'm just kind of like riding the wave of it. Regardless, you're going through a transformation, you're going through a transition, and one of the reasons why this transition is more difficult for you is because with the energy of Gemini, I'm going to associate Gemini with the third house energy. Gemini is all about our Gemini / the third house energy. It's kind of like those early like developmental years, like those years of like 0 to like 8. You're figuring out who are you, you're learning how the world works, you're really curious, you're, you know, asking why about everything. That's kind of the energy that Gemini has. So there's basically this energy of like, you're going through this change and you're going through this transformation in your life. And one of the reasons why this transformation is more difficult for you is because you're not allowing yourself to be supported with the necessary information that's going to make that transition easier. Okay. And the necessary information can be 1,000,001 different things. For example, I have a course. It's an amazing course. It will change your life. It's called the Release, Reconnect, and Recognize course. For somebody who is going through the changes and they're learning how to identify their limiting beliefs and they're learning how to heal and they're learning how to level up and they're learning how to get to a different place in their life, and they come from a family structure where people aren't committed to growth and expansion. They come from a culture where people just kind of sit around and complain about their lives and talk shit about other people who are out there, who are living it and who are getting it and aren't actually willing to show up for themselves, right? People who come from families where they don't feel worthy of money, cycles of poverty, different things like that. Trying to get out of that, or the act of getting out of that, can be so incredibly challenging when you have no idea what the fuck to do. Obviously, like that just makes sense. So when you have courses like my course, when you have people who have gone through the transformation and are like, oh, I actually know what your problem is. One of the biggest problems that people face is not allowing themselves to feel better than others. People who consider themselves to be empaths, people who experienced parentification in their childhood experience, which just means like your mom complained to you about her boy problems, or you heard your family talking about finances and stuff, and it scared you, and you were taking on responsibility for your life and for the lives of others at a really young age. So one of the biggest problems that people who have those experiences face is finally starting to take care of themselves. What do I want? What do I desire? What is it that I want to call in, right? So that's why module 1 of my course is all on allowing yourself to feel better than others. What if I grow and expand and everybody's jealous of me and everybody is betraying me behind my back? That's what we focus on in module 1. For somebody who hasn't ever gone through this transformation before, it took me years. It took me years. Everything that I just described to you took me years of figuring out. And what I did in my course was took all of those shifts that I figured out over years and I put them all inside of an entire course, but specifically that module 1. So when you, who is going through that change and transformation right here and right now, get into that course, you can receive those shifts. You can grow and expand with ease and with a quickness. It's the same exact thing. I'll give a different example. Let's say that you were a baker and you loved like baking. You want to start your own bakery. If you go to culinary school, then there's somebody who has already learned, whether it's their own practice, somebody else, a combination of both, they've already learned the best techniques for piping. They've already learned the best techniques to do when your buttercream is too granulated because of the sugar that you're using, or what the fuck ever problems that bakers face. Okay, that's not my zone of genius, but just follow me here. You're learning from somebody else who already knows what to do. These are all the little tips and tricks. This is how you should line your baking sheet. This is how you should do all of these things. When you sit in that class or when you sit in that course and you're learning how to do all of these things, you're receiving all of these little shifts that they have accumulated over time in a shorter amount of time. So you're going to experience expedited growth. In the case of my course, you're experiencing expedited healing. The reason why this is relevant and important is because we can sometimes have this, and I, from Amanda Francis, consider this to be like a middle class, lower class. Girl, I don't know if it's actually called lower class. I don't know. People living in poverty? I don't know. I've only ever called middle class. Is the other one upper class? What's under that? Bottom? Let's move on. So anyway, it's just a lower middle class mentality of, why would I pay money for that when I could get it myself? Why would I do that when I could do it myself? the reason why you would pay money for that and the reason why you would join that course, whether it's my course, a baking course, somebody else's course, it really doesn't fucking matter. The reason why you pay money to get the downloads and the understanding that somebody else has accumulated over years in a short period of time is so that you can experience expedited growth, healing, knowledge, blah, blah, blah. Because when you really, truly, honestly think about it, if you don't take that baking class, you're going to be sitting making 1,000,001 different rookie ass mistakes that you didn't need to make. It's not a time efficient thing to do. It's a smart thing to do, to seek out information. And that's really what they're saying to you right now, is that there is more information that's available to you. There is an easier way to move through whatever transition you're moving through. There's an easier way. There is support that's available to you. Your spiritual awakening, I know it's a fun thing that we joke about online, but your spiritual awakening does not have to be, oh my God, my spirit guide's sending me another traumatic, experience because I haven't learned my lesson. Like, there are literally people whose job, whose purpose is to support you in moving through those journeys and learning those things. So when you're not taking advantage of that support, you're sitting making rookie mistakes because you're trying to figure out how to pipe icing on the border of this cake when there's somebody who could have told you, oh, you're not filling up your thing enough. Oh, if you hold the little fucking piping bag at this way and you apply pressure in this way and you hold it at this angle, like specific as little nuanced shifts like that, you're going to get a better result. You're going to get more consistency. You're going to be able to take the piping bag around the entire cake and you can ice it in this way and it can be quick and it can be easy and it can be simple and all this stuff. The point is that the transition that you're going through can be easier, it can be simpler, it can be faster, and it can feel better. You don't have to suffer as you undergo this transformation. So what's available to you right now is ease. What's available to you right now is support. And one of the biggest things for you, group one, is understanding that you are worthy of support. Just because you came from an experience where you, had a single mom. Just because you came from an experience where you have parents who talked about, like, maybe you had a dad who talked about you're not supposed to receive support and you're not supposed to do these different things and you have to do it all yourself and you have to struggle and anything that comes easy isn't worth the effort. Like, all of those are bullshit motherfucking lies, as Amanda Francis would say. Bullshit motherfucking lies. Because the smart, efficient thing to do is to receive help and to receive support when you need it. Okay. Last thing, because we didn't really pull any cards and we're coming up on that 15-minute mark and I don't want this to be longer. What is available to you is justice. Doves, I'm hearing When Doves Cry. Is that the song by Prince? The Shadow Self. What's available to you? Nature, the seed of life, and then the star at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so one of the reasons why you get support from other people and you learn things from other people is because you have your own zone of genius. You have your own thing to give to the people. So when you have your zone of genius, developing skills and learning other things is really, really easy for you because you're not supposed to be at that level. You're supposed to go beyond what the advanced levels are. So instead of spending your time in your zone of genius trying to figure out everything yourself, when you allow yourself to receive more support, you can get all of these shifts, you can experience this expedited healing and growth, and then you can really take it and make it your own. So we're coming back to this idea that the world really needs your gifts. The world really needs your, what you have to offer. And there's something in your, oh, that's good. Okay. So I've been working through this myself. It's not what I would call revenge. It's what I would call justice. It's not what I would call revenge. It's what I would call justice. And the reason why I wouldn't call it revenge and I would call it justice is because to me, revenge is like, you said this really mean thing about me and I put Nair in your shampoo and now your hair is fucked up. Like, that's revenge. Justice is, there's this unsafe behavior that is happening in my community. And as a member of my community, it's like a civic duty. I believe that it is my responsibility to put in the time, energy, and effort to make sure that my community is safe and secure. So you may not continue to be a leader in my community as long as you continue to show up perpetuating XYZ toxic, unhelpful behavior. And that does come from that anger. Our emotions are tools. Our emotions are communicating things to us. And if you want to develop a better relationship with your emotions, I have a free offer. It's called the 6 Steps from Stuck to Self-Aware. It is very, very good. And you can get it in the description. You're welcome. It's a meditation that's inside the bundle. The meditation comes from my course, which is also very good and which is also linked in the description. Okay, let's move on. So your emotions are always communicating to you. And one thing that your emotions are communicating to you is when you're feeling angry, that's like, I know that I deserve to be treated better. When I'm feeling angry, I know that my boundaries are not being respected. So it's also this working on your relationship with your anger. There's a bonus in module 4 of my course that's all about this if you want more help. But it's working on your relationship with your anger and recognizing, no, I do get to be called to show up, especially because, like we talked about at the beginning, your purpose is important. Your purpose is relevant to your people, the people that you've come here to serve. I'm somebody who experienced a lot of injustice while I was going through school. One of the reasons why I experienced so much injustice as I was going through school was because it's a part of my purpose to end all of the inequalities and all of the bullshit and all of the school to prison pipeline stuff. I'm one of those people. That's a part of my zone of genius. So I lived it and I experienced it. And I experienced the discrimination and I experienced that heartbreak and I experienced the consequences of that system, which powerfully inspired me to show up as an adult and take that responsibility for my community and blow the whistle like Too Short. You know what I'm saying? Calling out the bullshit and being like, no, sorry, you're not going to continue to teach my kids. No, sorry, you're not going to continue to lead the Black children of this nation. Thank you so much for trying. See you later. Bye. You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of vibe. So it's just recognizing like, no, bitch, I'm a mother. No drama. That's what I get the vibe of, like, nature, the seed of life. So you definitely probably take care of people who are powerless in a way, elderly people, young children, people who don't have a voice, women, members of marginalized communities, standing up for those people. So it's really good for you to have that relationship with your shadow side, as people call it, developing that relationship with your anger, developing that relationship with your rage, and utilizing that energy. I actually have a podcast episode. It's one of like the first 3 podcast episodes on my new podcast. It's called The Nasty. It's not called that. Nasty was going to be in the title of it at the very beginning, and that's why I said that. It's called the Naked and Noisy Podcast. It is amazing, and it is also linked in the description box below. That's all that I have for you, pile number 1. I hope that this was helpful to you. Please comment down below, drop some hearts. If you're commenting from pile number 1, drop like a white heart. Drop like a white heart. And if you don't have a white heart, drop like a heart and then put like white next to it. Okay? I love you, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. What's up, pile number 2, for those of you who chose the deck whose name I really can't remember. I am just lighting this to give us some smoke so we can clear the energy and the vibes from pile number 1. Okay. It's been a long time since I've done this, and I'm like getting back into the groove. Okay. So, pile 2. What's available to you now? Money. That's the very first thing that I heard. What's available to you now? Money, cash. Money, cash. So much money. They're showing me a well. There is a wealth of money that is available to you. And I believe it is because you have a well of knowledge. Is that the phrase? You have a wealth of knowledge? A well of knowledge? I don't know. Something relevant about a well. First, we're going to start with these Arcana of Astrology cards. Saturn, the big payback. Definitely got a lot of Capricorn energy. Some of you might be experiencing your Saturn return right now, as Saturn just recently moved into Pisces. Some of you, your Saturn return just ended as Saturn moved out of Aquarius. Some of you, you guys are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. You got Capricorn energy all up in your natal chart. Some of you also have Saturn in the first house. You guys went through a whole bunch of shit, and I'm not perpetuating a limiting belief, but I'm going to share how this feels. It's kind of like a double for your trouble type vibe. It's kind of like you handled your lessons so incredibly well, and you were about to be blessed beyond measure. There's a lot of choices and decisions that you could have made, and because you didn't, and because you stuck to a very specific course. And it's kind of like, because there are different timelines that are available, right? Sometimes you ever think about that shit, like all of the things that happened to me in my life, I could have become a fucking supervillain. My life story is a villain origin story. I could have become a supervillain, but I didn't. You know, and instead I decided to devote my life to Christ. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that type of vibe. You could have made a lot of decisions. You could have decided not to get sober. You could have decided to continue moving down the path that you continue down. You could have decided to continue stories of struggle and strife and abuse and neglect that have kind of like permeated your family for generations, but you didn't. You chose a different path. And the path of Saturn, they're like the path less traveled, not the path of least resistance. You chose a significantly more difficult path that a lot of people in your position maybe would not have chosen. Sorry, girl. My damn music started playing. Anyway, so you chose a significantly more difficult path, but you're being rewarded. And this is not, it's very interesting because this is not like my personal teachings or how I see things, but that's what's coming through so strongly. Like your guides, your angels, your ancestors, your spirits, like it's a fucking celebration. We're so fucking happy. What you did was so difficult. What you overcame was so difficult. There were a lot of different choices that were available to you. There were a lot of different timelines that were available to you. And it's kind of like you made a difficult choice, but you ended up on like the highest timeline. You know what I mean? The higher timeline. Like there's a timeline where you have a nice middle class life. There's a timeline where I went to school, became a doctor, and was working in obstetrics. Great, wonderful thing, making like $400,000 a year. And I thought that that was great money. There is a timeline where that happened. There is another timeline where I'm making billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know what I mean? It's like there were other options available to you, and we're not saying that the other options would have been bad. I mean, for some of you, yeah, the other options would have been very bad, but we're not saying that the other options, like you should be ashamed if you chose the other options, but we're just like, you made a really good choice. You made a really good choice, pile number 2. So that's definitely the vibe. What's available to you is a lot of blessings. And hold on, because this card just fell. Fuck. How many times was I gonna drop this? Okay, we got Scorpio, which is so crazy because we also got Scorpio in the first one. So group of transformers, we all are. What is available to you now? Rebirth. So pile number 1, you could have chosen both, but pile number 1 was more like they're going through a transformation in the thick of it. Pile number 2, don't call it a comeback. That's where you're at. Pile number 2, this is the part. So Scorpio, obviously Scorpion, but also Phoenix. What happens to the Phoenix? Burns the fuck up, bursts into flames, ashes. From the ashes, born again. That's the vibe. That's where you are in that cycle of death and rebirth. What's available to you now is rebirth. What's available to you now is kind of like a new vitality, kind of like a new lust for life. We have Ascendant and we also have Mercury here. I'm not going to take those, but I am going to acknowledge them. For some of you, this rebirth could be in alignment with like your physical body. Your appearance specifically could be your physical health, but it feels more like your appearance and also your thought processes. What's available to you now is a better feeling way of thinking. What's available to you now is a better feeling way of perceiving the world, a better feeling expectation for what you get to have. Oh my God, with Saturn and Scorpio together, pile number 2, what is available for you is a better feeling expectation. The past is over. Have a funeral if you have to. Take your time to really mull it over. Make sure things are processed. Do that grieving. It's never coming back. That's an old segment of life. What's available to you now is a whole new experience. This is so good. This is so good. Okay, so what is available to pile number 2 now? We have the Queen of Wands. The things that you have been manifesting right now, you're very attractive. There's a very sexual energy and vibe here. There's also some like creativity. And then we have the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So it's also kind of like, gives me like romance vibes, but it's also giving me like leadership vibes, but it's also giving me like, what's available for you now is an awareness of your own power. What's available for you now is having those moments. So you might be having those moments where like you see like, oh, it's 11:11. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. You can say it's 11:11. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Or you can see that it's 11:11 and you can go, I'm on the right track. God is so good. Thank you for this confirmation. I'm doing the right thing. I'm shifting the energy that needs to be shifted. I'm calling in amazing things. There are amazing things coming into my life. The people, places, things, the situations, and the scenarios that I need to get me to where I want to go. They're showing up. They're showing up. They're showing up. It's showing up right before my very eyes. I've got this. I'm doing such a great, amazing job. Thank you, God, for this confirmation at 11:11. The choice is yours. And pile number 2, I get the feeling that you might have been having that experience where you were doing the first option. Oh, it's 11:11. Yeah, I know. That's super like, oh, it's kind of like this vibe of like, like I'm above it, but it's not really being like above spirituality. It's more like I'm actually afraid to go all in. I'm actually afraid to believe and trust with my whole heart. It's one thing to entertain it. It's one thing to watch a couple tarot readings. It's one thing to blah, blah, blah. It's one thing to light a candle here and there. It's one thing to say an affirmation, blah, blah, blah. Pile number 2, what's available to you now is strengthening your belief and really stepping into your power. You have options and you have choices. It's very interesting that we're talking about different timelines that are available to you. If you make the choice and you choose the timeline of really believing, really going like, no, this shit is working. I'm seeing it working. I'm seeing the signs and the synchronicities. I'm seeing what I desire play out. Like, okay, story time, 2.5. 2.5. The other day, so I like to think of like names for my future kids, and we all do. But I came up with some really great names. I'm like, I gotta write these things down because sometimes I forget. And so I wrote all 3 of the names down, and I was like going like super like into it and stuff, looking up like what does this name mean and like Bible meanings, because like of course my kids are gonna have names from the Bible. I just like, it's obvious, but I never thought about it. But then I was like, yeah. Anyway, so I write down 3 names. They're all boys' names because that's all that was coming to me. The girls' names, they just weren't hitting, okay? I wrote down 3 boys' names. The next day, I go to the park because, you know, I do my little walks. I'm on my little walk at the park, and there is a group of these 3 little boys. And they're like obviously siblings. Oh my God. They're the most adorable thing. I'm like, look at my kids at the park right now. Look at my children at the park right now. And they weren't black kids. They did not look like me. It doesn't matter. It's these 3 kids, and they look like, okay, let's say like the first one was like 7. The second one's like 5. The last one's like 3. Like that's kind of like how old they looked. And they're like playing with one another, kind of like roughhousing in this way. And they're like throwing these, I don't know what the fuck you would call them. They're not leaves. They're not nuts. They're something, okay? They're like throwing these little things at each other. The oldest one obviously has an advantage. She has a little bit better like hand-eye coordination. And I'm not like sitting there watching them play. If I was, I don't think that would be weird, but I was like kind of like walking around. So this like laps around like the park and stuff, right? So the oldest one's like really good at it, whatever. The youngest one's kind of like, sorry, middle child syndrome, like what's that audio from Dance Moms? You didn't really stand out to me. Like, no offense. But like he just kind of was there. But the youngest one was literally the most adorable thing that I've ever seen in the world, because they're playing this game where you're like picking the things up off the ground and like throwing it at each other. He doesn't understand the rules of the game. He doesn't really understand what's going on. He's just happy to be involved. And he looks so adorable. He's picking the things up off the ground and he's putting them into his pockets. He's putting them into his jacket pockets. Why are you putting them in your jacket pocket? Why aren't you throwing them at anyone? And then when one of them like throws it at him, because of course, you know, like I'm watching and he like throws a little like thing at him and I'm kind of like, whoa, like, is everything okay? But the smallest one, he's like laughing. He's having the time of his life. He's just happy to be included. So it was just so adorable, so cute. And I'm like walking around my little lap and they're like, you know, running from one place to the other. They're kind of like following each other. So the oldest one has like run from like here to here. And then the second one's like running after him. And then like the last one, he's like so small, like his little legs, like he can only run so fast. Oh my God. It just brings me so much happiness and so much joy. So the little one, he's like running behind them, and he's trying so hard to keep up. Like seeing children run is just, it brings me joy like nothing else. So anyway, so I like see that, and I'm just like, look at my kids at this park. And then the other day, and this is going to be another 2.5, okay? Because we're here and we have time, and I'm basically done with your message. Almost, but like basically we got the gist, okay? So I go to the park another day. This was like yesterday. I think this was yesterday, maybe the day before. It was 2 days ago. I went to the park. Girl, why was there a blue heron, I don't know, at the park? I'm manifesting a house on the beach. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I'll include the clip here too. I will include that clip. You're welcome. I'm like, what the hell is that? What is that? I thought it was a statue. Other woman at the park, fellow bird watcher, apparently, because that's who I am. I'm like, do you know what kind of bird that is? She's like, I think that's a blue heron. I've only ever seen white ones. She's like, they're usually by water. I'm like, that's for me. That's for me. Because earlier at that same exact walk, and this is the last story I'm going to tell. Earlier at that same exact walk, I smelled the ocean. I was like, oh, like sometimes, the ocean, hit or miss. It's hit or miss with the salty scent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like walking and I'm just like, ooh, like, God, it smells like the ocean here. Do you hear those sirens? Tell me you did. Tell me that you did. Signs. Like the Beyonce song, which she sang for the first time yesterday on opening night of the Renaissance World Tour. It's a good day. It's a good day. These are signs and synchronicities that we are on the right track, that things are working out for us. So you have the option to go, oh, you wrote down 3 boys' names and then you saw 3 little adorable boys at the park. That doesn't mean anything. Okay. Like, you have the option to do that, but why the fuck would you want to? Why the fuck would you want to? When your beliefs create your goddamn reality, you have options and you have choices. You better take every single motherfucking opportunity and choice that is presented to you and go, yep, I accept that. And I do accept that as a sign that good things are coming my way. And I do accept that as a sign that people love to pay me. And I do accept that as a sign that I'm on the right track. And I do accept that as a sign that my manifestations are coming in. And I do accept that as a sign that I'm doing the damn thing. And I do accept that as a sign that I am tapped into the vibration of my desire. I saw the sign. It opened up my eyes. I saw the sign and I believed it. I internalized the sign. I held on to the sign. I focused on the sign. I thanked God for the sign. Vibes like that. That's what's available to you, pile number 2. Because the more that you do that, and it's so funny because I said wealth, and Scorpio is a sign of like wealth. Scorpio is a sign of like our wealth. And then we're kind of having like a couple here. Shut up. Queen of Wands, King of Wands. I pulled it up. I didn't pull it up before. I just kept it at the bottom of the deck. And underneath is the Page of Wands. Pages are children. Stop playing with me right now. Because what I was about to say was Scorpio rules wealth. We just had a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio rules wealth, but it's not just personal wealth. It's, I hope that didn't fuck up the audio. I have a feeling that it didn't. Okay, so Scorpio rules wealth, but it's not just personal wealth, it's our wealth. It's shared wealth. So it's more of a familial thing. So what's available to you now is familial wealth, and it kind of gives like power couple soulmate vibes. 2 people who are very passionate about what they do, making money together, maybe making something else. And that's all that I got for you, pile number 2. That's what's available to you right now. The more that you focus on those signs and synchronicities, the more that you allow the good things to come in for you, because that's one of the reasons why what you desire hasn't fully showed up, is that you're not fully believing. You're not fully believing that it's possible. You're not fully believing that it can happen. You still are kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Make that choice, commit to that choice. If you don't want to believe it, then just don't believe it and just walk away from it. But if you want to believe it and you want to be in it, then believe it and be in it and immerse yourself in it. That's total Scorpio vibes and energy. It's really intense and really obsessive and maybe even borderline like black and white thinking. It either is or it isn't. Don't ride the middle and do the indecisive thing. You're either in it or you're out of it. And if you're going to be in it, then be in it and be willing to be vulnerable and be willing to really activate that faith. If you want to learn how to activate faith, I have a course. It's called the Release, Reconnect, and Recognize course, and it will change your fucking life. Pile number 2, module number 2, there's a bonus about faith and about releasing the how in your manifestation process. Chef's kiss, it's very good. That's all that I've got for you, pile number 2. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye. These have literally been so freaking good. These have been so good, you guys. They've been so good. Okay, last group, pile number 3. We're lighting this thing just to get a little bit of smoke. My God. My ear chakras are like going. So I literally automatically felt pressure, which is crazy because I did not feel that for the other group. So you guys might be experiencing a deepening of like your spiritual gifts. Okay. Like a deepening of your spiritual gifts. What's available to you right now? I'm telling you, I literally feel like there's like pressure right here on my forehead. I truly feel like what's available for you is like messages from God, messages from heaven, and really something deeper about trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, trusting the messages that you receive. Your psychic gifts are leveling up. For some of you, you're recognizing that you have psychic gifts. For others of you, oh my God, hold on. Is this the last one of these? Oh no, it's not. Trying to figure out if I have to sneeze or not. Anyway, realizing you have psychic gifts, your psychic gifts are leveling up. You're doing things in a new way. For some of you, you guys are seeing things. You're seeing auras. You're seeing spirits. You're seeing ghosts. You're talking. You're communicating. But for a lot of you, I feel like it's hearing, it's thoughts, it's clairaudient abilities, it's claircognizant abilities. And basically what I mean by that is like just knowing things. Like you're just going to start like knowing things, or you're going to start hearing things. For some of you, you might be hearing things in like the voice of like family members who have passed away. So you're like driving and then you hear your late father in your head, and your late father is like, hey, you should change lanes. And then when you change lanes, a crazy car comes out of nowhere and it was gonna like hit you or something. You know, like it doesn't have to be that drastic, but it's something like that where you're receiving guidance, you're listening to your guidance. But for others of you in that kind of claircognizant, I think that's the right one, way, you're just gonna know things. You're gonna know things like, and you've always known this, you're starting to pick up on it, you're starting to realize it, you're starting to tap into it more, you're starting to trust it more. So it's interesting how these piles are kind of very similar because, okay, it doesn't matter. Focus. So you're trusting it more, you're tapping into it more, you're knowing like, I don't think that person's trustworthy. I don't like something about that person's vibe. Something's off about that situation. No, I don't trust that. No, I don't want to hang out with those people. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to be friends with that person. You're realizing I'm no longer going to get to the place where the people betray me before I trust what I've received. I'm no longer going to wait for the proof that I'm right to manifest before I trust my gifts. And there's a difference, right? Because when we've experienced interpersonal trauma, relationship trauma, then our beautiful little amygdalas, our beautiful animal brains can be searching for that danger to make sure that we're safe, hyper aware, and then can be receiving messages of danger when there's no danger present. So that happens sometimes, but then there are other times where, no, you know that that person's shady. No, you know that that person's not trustworthy. No, you know that something is off. There's a difference. And that's what you're really learning, pile number 3. This vibe of like discernment, being able to discern, oh, this is just an old fear versus, nah, I'm not really fucking with you. It's that type of vibe. Okay. So pile number 3, what is available to you now? I'm not going to take this one because I don't know what it is and I don't feel like reading the book, but I will take the 8th house, which is really good. Scorpio came out in every single one of these readings. 8th house will associate with Scorpio energy. It's like a house of shadow, unseen. We have Vesta and then we have Libra, but I don't know much about the asteroids or whatever, so I don't want to do that. So it's definitely some relationship stuff. I would absolutely associate the 8th house with, well, I guess I'm going to have to read the damn book then, because that card came out for the second time. Hold on. Hygeia. Hygeia. And it better reaffirm everything that I just said too. Okay. The Purifier. Okay. So, healing, relationships, old stuff. What's available to you now, pile number 3, is better relationships. You're welcome. What's available to you now is better relationships, but it's not just better relationships. It's a powerful discernment of who is worthy of my time, who is worthy of my energy, who is worthy of my effort. So there's a little bit in there of being like we talked about. It's literally crazy because that did absolutely affirm. It talked about being like a hypochondriac at the end of the text. There can be that energy of like, I don't trust this person, I don't trust this person, I don't trust this person because of past stuff. What's available to you now is discernment. God, angels, universe, is this person trustworthy? Yes or no? Show me and make it clear. Show me and make it clear. I'm willing to trust myself. I'm willing to follow my guidance. I'm willing to tap in. I'm willing to make different choices and decisions. And it's okay. This is such a beautiful kind of tangent, but it works so perfectly. I'm somebody who had a core concept, a core self-concept of shame. Because when you experience pain in your childhood, where a lot of things are projected onto you, maybe you're called a bad kid, evil, bad names. People are always talking about everything that you've done wrong. The reason why they're treating you so badly and abusing you is because you're not good enough. You're internalizing all of that, right? And there's a little bit of this fear that I developed of calling people out, saying that people aren't doing a good job because I don't want to be like those people. I don't want to be shaming other people and saying that they're bad like that was done to me, because I know how badly that hurts. And then there's also that vibe of like, what if I'm a bad person? What if these bad things happen to me? Birds of a feather flock together. What if these bad things happen to me because I'm a bad person? What if I'm a hypocrite for calling out this person's behavior, calling out that they're untrustworthy? So there's a lot of different things that's going on here. First of all, you've got to develop a sense of self outside of other people's perception of you and what other people told you you were. And this is something that's very relevant. I was somebody who I was always being misunderstood and misinterpreted. And when I would stick up for myself, it was ignored. I was told things like I had one sibling who really psychologically abused me. And I was like, I remember one time being like, what does this mean? I don't know what that means. And he was just like, you know what that means. And I was just like, I literally don't know what that means. Like, what type of fucking game are we playing? So there's this like being painted as a villain in so many situations and scenarios when I hadn't done anything wrong. And then because these people are your caregivers, they're your parents, they're your teachers, they're your whatever, they're the ultimate authority. They're the people who make the choices and decisions. You're thinking that they're right and you're wrong. You're taking their perception of you and the things that they say about you and the things that they tell you you are. Ungrateful, not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not enough in general, always doing the wrong thing. You're taking the things that they're telling you about who you are and you're internalizing that and you're telling yourself that that's who you are. And that is one of the most painful experiences like ever, right? A big component of healing is developing that sense of self, discovering who you are, and living in your truth, living in that integrity, separate from who other people tell you that you are. And it can be such a difficult thing to do. And that whole process is a really big component of my course. It's called the Release, Reconnect, and Recognize course. Because on the one hand, when you're developing a sense of self, who you are, that's just how you feel. Who I am is how I feel. My boundaries is who I am. How I feel directly influences my boundaries. So what that means is I'm tired. That's a boundary. That's who I am. I'm happy. That's a boundary. That's who I am. It's a descriptor. Watching videos online of Natalie Hughes makes me happy, brings me joy, uplifts me. That's a descriptor. That's a boundary. That's a part of who you are. When we don't grow up in environments that focus on supporting us, that see us for who we are, having parents who reflect back to us how we're feeling. Oh, you're feeling sad. Oh, you're feeling happy. Oh, you don't like the taste of mustard. Oh, you love the taste of ketchup. Oh, you really enjoy broccoli. Oh my God, my baby loves apples. When you don't grow up in households where you have someone focusing on you, your sense of self, question mark. When you grow up in households where there's a focus on telling you who you have to be, who you should be, ignoring who you are, rejecting who you are, pushing who you are away, and saying, no, you need to be this, you need to do this instead. Your sense of self, question mark, exclamation point. You know what I'm saying? So the course focuses on this in a couple different ways. Number one, there's a whole component in the pre-work that is about working with your feelings, learning how to identify how you feel. One of the meditations, one of the components of that, being inside of my free offer. It's a bundle. It's called the 6 Steps from Stuck to Self-Aware. Would highly recommend it. It is free. It's a meditation to help you feel how you feel. Start identifying how you feel, developing a better relationship with your emotions. That's a really big key component to developing a sense of self. And then when you get into module 1, a part of the module 1 bonus, the module 1 is just, if you resonate with this, then module 1 was made for you. And so is module 2, but module 1 is like made for you. In the module 1 bonus, there's literally a bonus called Freeing Yourself from How They Feel. And that will powerfully help you in untangling, moving through, shifting, seeing things differently. So if that sounds good, if you want my support, check the description. That can powerfully help you. Okay, so, oh girl, we haven't even pulled a tarot card yet. So what's available for you is healing in your relationships. What's available for you is relationships where you're able to maintain your sense of self and where your sense of self is seen, where you're loved for who you truly are. What is available for you right now? We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. I feel like there's fast growing movement that's available for you now. Growth and expansion that's available for you now. And this even feels like a better relationship with yourself. A better, deeper knowing of yourself. A better feeling relationship with your own intuition. A better feeling relationship with your own inner being. And as a consequence of that better feeling relationship with yourself and your inner being, you're also able to develop better feeling relationships with other people who are coming into your life. Because I definitely see you being a magnet for people right now, where there's a lot of people who want to connect with you. There's a lot of people who want to talk to you. There's a lot of people who want to be a part of your world and who want to, connect with you, and that's fine. And that's where your discernment comes in. Some people are genuine, some people are safe, some people are not genuine, some people are unsafe. Some people are so unaware of themselves that they, being able to identify how you feel is a skill. If I can't identify how I feel, and I can't identify that I'm jealous, I can't identify that I'm resentful, then of course I'm going to act out in ways in my relationships, and I'm going to be telling you to your face that I'm not jealous, I'm not resentful. So for me, discernment in my relationships went beyond just, is this person nice? Does this person have bad intentions? What is this person's relationship with their emotions and their feelings? And it's not about being perfect, but is that person committed to identifying how they feel? And if the answer is no, toodles, can't do it, won't do it at all. Because if you're not aware of your shit and you're not handling your shit, if you have subconscious needs that are not being met, jealousy being, I have a desire to get something, I don't believe that I can have it, I don't feel worthy of it, what the fuck ever. It's not a crime to feel jealous, but the things that you do with that jealousy, the things that you do in response to how you feel may or may not be a crime. You know what I'm saying? So when people are not committed to identifying how they feel and working through their feelings, they can be jealous, they can be resentful, and they can do all of these things subconsciously because those needs are going to get met. That's why you want to be aware of your shit, because when you're aware of your shit, then you can actually get your needs met in better feeling ways. So there's better relationships that are available for you, relationships where you are identifying what you need in relationships, being able to put shit out and be straight up with people, be honest with people about this is what I need in a friendship, this is what I need from a lover, this is what I need from blah, blah, blah. And also being able to identify these are the safe people to connect with. These are the safe people to align with. What does it mean to be a safe person? What does it mean to be in relationships with safe people, etc., etc., etc. So that's what's available for you. And I definitely see the more you listen to your intuition and take action accordingly, you're going to be really quickly moving towards just more stability, feeling better in your physical body. This is not medical advice, but feeling better in your own physical health. Things getting better, but there's like a quickness to it. There's a really, really quick energy in there. And I also feel like it's a healing on an intergenerational level. Some of y'all might be healers. You might do this healing for work, whether it's mental health stuff, spiritual stuff, occult stuff, really just supporting people in changing and transforming their relationships with themselves and with others. I see a lot of stability coming in from that. I see a lot of money coming in. I see a lot of income coming in. I see a lot of things coming in, and I see it coming in quickly. So that is what is available for you right here and right now. I love you so, so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. Be sure to check out the different offers. There are freebies and courses. Well, there's kind of like one of each. It doesn't matter. In the description box. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.